Hi everybody, good evening. Kim Marshall here for Roots and Wings, and I am a JK mom and a JK teacher, bringing you information that I think will really empower you and build your confidence so that you can just pour that into your child. And you're probably looking forward to starting kindergarten in the fall. So I want to guide you through that journey, and I want to teach you some tips and tricks so that that can be a really smooth transition. So tonight we're talking about sleep. It's an important topic. Who doesn't love sleep, right? And we're kind of shifting from a nutrition focus to a sleep focus. And the reason I'm starting with these two things is because they're the foundation, they're the building blocks, and they're going to really ensure that your child is showing up prepared to learn. So I really believe that the teachers show up in their classroom prepared to teach. The children should arrive at school prepared to learn, and there's not a lot that can happen if they're deprived in those two areas. So spend your time and really pour into them. Nutrition and sleep, okay, great meals on the table, and early bedtimes, and rest, and slow evenings, and it's going to go a long way. If you do nothing else, I suggest those two things. So that's why I'm starting with this, and that's the number one question I get every fall when I begin my kindergarten class. I hear, what can I do? What can I do as a parent to support my child this year? And my answer always begins with nutrition and sleep. So I want you to start there too, and it can really prevent a lot of other issues from coming up, right? For sure, if we ever have to cross that bridge in the future, we're talking about social problems or emotional regulation, or we're talking about even learning issues and retention, and it all starts with it comes back to sleep and food, and how are you fueling your body, and how are you really priming yourself for that optimal learning to take place. So that's why I think those are important. And so at the end of this video, I'm going to introduce another expert panel member. So happy about this. And so I'm going to give you my 2 cents about what sleep kind of looks like in my classroom and in my home, and then we'll hand it over to our expert panel member who really knows all about sleep, and she's the one that can give you this message and really guide you through those sleep related questions. Okay, so we're going to open it up at the end. But basically, sleep in the kindergarten classroom, it might be called a nap, it might be called a rest, it might be called a quiet time, but almost for sure you're going to have some sort of block in the timetable where your child will slow their body down. So in my daughter's classroom, they each have mats. She was allowed to bring a blanket to school. She enjoyed that. That was comforting for her in the fall. And it was a 20-minute rest. So if a child can fall asleep in 20 minutes, then I'm sure that they were allowed to sleep. My daughter takes a while to wind down, so that wouldn't have been a sleep time for her. It would have been a quiet time for her. But I mean, who can't benefit from just like slowing down their body? In my classroom, it looks like the lights are dim. It sounds like no talking. Children find a place where they're comfortable, and some children want to be closing their eyes, and some children want to be looking at a book. So whatever they feel comfortable doing by themselves for a few minutes. I often like music playing in the background, and I sort of fluctuate that block depending on what we need and what the children need. Every year my children are different, so they sort of guide me in that area. And if the children don't enjoy that quiet alone time, it'll be a shorter block, and then we'll maybe move into some sort of meditation or yoga or some sort of mindfulness, just to continue being slow and quiet. So it could be any of the combination of those things, but you should be prepared for your son or daughter to enjoy that kind of downtime, probably after lunch. And they will be tired, and if they don't sleep during the day, they're probably going to be exhausted after school. And if you have a drive home, you're going to probably find that, especially in September, your child wants to fall asleep on the drive home. So you know, if that's you, you know, if you're going to be picking your child up in the car, and you know, the hum and the haw of the highway or wherever you're heading, you know your child, if that's going to be a situation or not. And I'll always remember when I first started teaching kindergarten, I thought, yeah, the kids are going to be really tired in the afternoon, and what's that gonna look like, and how's that gonna affect things? And not knowing a whole lot about children at that time in my life, I thought it would be fatigue, and it would be rubbing your eyes and lying your head on the table, and it's the opposite. You know, tired children are overtired, and it actually flips. It looks like hyperactivity. It looks like wired, and it could be cranky, and it could be difficulty regulating your emotions. The amygdala is going to be swollen, their decision making is going to be off, and it's going to look like they're wired. So definitely less learning is going to be happening in the afternoon. I always, as a teacher, block my really important stuff first thing in the day, and I block my kinesthetic activities and outdoor exploration in the afternoon. So I'm sure that's something that your daughter's son's teacher will take into account too. So we know these kids, we know what that looks like, and sort of we know how to optimize the day and their learning. So there are lots of questions about sleep coming in, and I'm really happy to be handing it over to Amanda Jewson. Amanda is our sleep girl. She knows what's going on in this area. She's awesome, a colleague and a friend of mine. She's a Roots and Wings mama. She has 2 children of her own, and her background is education. So she's really talented in this area, and she's so passionate about you know, giving us the information that we need in this area. And you know, if she doesn't know the answer, she's going to figure it out. She has all the great resources at her fingertips. So I've had some questions coming in. We're going to post those. So welcome, Amanda. And right after I introduce her to you, after this post, we will be opening it up for 3 days of questions. It is Wednesday right now, and so at the end of Saturday, we're gonna close those questions, and we're gonna give Amanda a week to wrap her head around that, and she's gonna respond to us with a video message. So thank you for doing that, and you can start thinking about your sleep related questions and what you want to ask Amanda. She is a certified sleep consultant, so she's going to be able to help you. And a lot of people think of sleep consultants as resources in the infant and the baby area, and that's true, but they're also really talented with toddler and child sleep, and those issues, you know, they keep popping up. And you know, maybe now's the time that you want to look at a habit that's happening in your home, if it's not working for your family, or maybe everything's going really well, you want to gear up for a new kind of schedule. So I'm interested in sleep and the connection between sleep and the learning brain. So I'm going to be asking Amanda to talk to us a little bit about that, a little bit about science between those areas. And also, I know that all the parents out there are really going to be thinking about how we're going to shift this summer, how we're gonna shift from that summer schedule into that school schedule, right? So what's the right way to do that? And if your child's napping at home and not napping at school, how do we wean them off of that? Or how do we move their bedtime up at the end of August so that they can prepare for a full school day? How much sleep should a 4 or 5-year-old be getting? What is optimal? And obviously, it's going to be different for every child, but there's also guidelines, and it's kind of neat to just be aware of those. And sometimes we have health related issues or learning related issues, and imagine if we could eliminate those just by taking care of sleep. That would be ideal. So let's look at sleep in terms of stress management and how we can really manage the information that our children are taking in during the day, right? We know that the consolidation of all that learning is taking place in their sleep. So what a magical time. We want this to be to be a time of peacefulness for them. And sleep is a comfort, it's a necessity, and in a school day, the evenings are short, and we're busy parents, and the kids are busy, and we just want to get through that evening routine. But I can tell you that when my daughter's head hits her pillow, that's when the stories come out. That's when the day comes out, and she wants to talk to me about what happened. And sometimes they seem like the silliest, most irrelevant facts or details or random stories that I hear, but they're important to her, and I just listen. And so we factor that in, and it's a time for us to kind of connect before the next day begins. And I know that she feels at ease with that time that we have together, and so that's important too. So how do we do that all? So Amanda, thank you for doing this, and I'm going to pop Amanda's picture up so everybody can meet Amanda. And please post your sleep-related questions. Saturday night, I'll send out a reminder, and we can close up. So I hope everyone sleeps well tonight, and I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. Thanks.